Next up is our guest panel. This panel will be led by Taylor Gerring. Taylor joined the blockchain space in 2012, which is a long time ago, and he worked on several Bitcoin applications, including the Hive wallet. Taylor helped establish the Ethereum Foundation in Switzerland in 2014. And after leaving the foundation, he started the Blockchain Institute, which is one of my favorite nonprofit charities dedicated to educating the public about blockchains and decentralization. I hope you loved the introduction, Taylor. Are you there?
I am here, Michel. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. So I look forward to your panel a lot because you have like amazing people in your panel. So please go ahead and yeah, let's do it.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction. Since we took up so much time talking about myself, I want to go ahead and invite our panelists on. I'm very excited today. We have representation from RSK, IOV Labs, Ethereum Foundation, and I believe a couple of Swarm members are going to join us as well. Let's see, got Joseph, Gabriel, Gregor, Victor.
We're missing Danny.
Danny, and is Terry here?
Indeed, I am.
All right. Great. So just to kind of kick things off and give everybody a little bit of background on who everybody is like representing and what projects they're working on and kind of what they're building towards, I would love it if we could kind of just go around the panel, starting off with Gabriel, just because he's at the top of my list. And after that, Terry, and then Joseph. If you can just talk a little bit about who you are and what you're building and why this relates to Swarm. Like, why are you here today?
Yes, absolutely. So thank you very much, Taylor, and the whole Swarm team for the invite. It's a pleasure for us at RSK, RIF, and IOV Labs to be part of Swarm and support the team. As Danny explained before, RSK, it's an EVM-compatible virtual machine that secured by Bitcoin, by the Bitcoin network. We've been part of the Bitcoin ecosystem and the crypto and blockchain space for several years, some of us 8, 9, 7 years. And we completely share this vision that Victor and Gregor were saying before, and also what Jordi said. You know, we're building a better world and we can really have an impact. Everything that we built at RSK and RIF, it's purpose-driven. We work very close with the slums in Latin America, trying to build solutions that empower the individuals and create a different internet that is surrounded around protecting the individual. And we understood that Swarm will play a key role in this. As part of the RIF services, we have a payment, we have identity solution, we have a marketplace, and there are two components that are critical in this infrastructure framework that we're building, which are storage and communications. And we're very happy to be integrating RIF communications and RIF storage on top of Swarm. So this is, for us, a full alignment of interest and purpose in life with the technology that we're building, and hopefully making this a reality together with all the team, as Jordi said. So thank you very much for the invite. I'm happy to be here.
And Terry, you want to go next?
Sure, thank you. So I'm with Ethereum Classic Labs, and we have two major activities. One is we operate the ETC Labs Accelerator, where we develop and invest in early stage blockchain projects to help build out the ecosystem. And we also have the ETC Core Team, which is a team of developers who help maintain the Ethereum Classic protocol. Our mission basically is to build high quality technology, look for opportunities to expand adoption of public blockchain, and really help fulfill the social promise of public blockchain. And this is where our collaboration with Swarm is most important. We are absolutely passionate about censorship resistance. You know, I think recent events in the world have shown painfully so that systems can have inherent bias with tragic results. And for blockchain to actually deliver on its promise of financial access and decentralized communities, you need the kind of infrastructure that Swarm is building to make that happen. So we're very excited to be part of this and look forward to seeing it grow.
Awesome. And Joseph, if you would please go.
Hey everybody, I'm Joseph from the Ethereum Foundation. Greetings from Prague. I work with the research and development teams at the Ethereum Foundation, and as it was mentioned before, the Swarm team recently graduated from the Ethereum Foundation to become like an organization for its own. As it was mentioned before, Swarm was originally part of the Holy Trinity, if you want, as one of the like crucial pieces in building the decentralized infrastructure, and it still remains kind of like an open field for projects to work on the storage space, as is like a very crucial part of building basically like any dApp or like any service that's, you know, outside of the current architecture. I'm still super hopeful to see like many solutions that will be like built on top of the, you know, the decentralized stack, which I'm hoping Swarm to be part of and to be like a integral you know, piece of the tool set that people be using to build like an awesome decentralized apps without having to rely on you know, the mostly used services of today.
Awesome, thank you. I'm going to skip Gregor, Victor, and Daniel for time since you guys have already introduced yourselves, but I hope that you will jump in on a question. Perhaps this one actually, Joseph kind of alluded to this along with Terry and Gabriel a bit, but I kind of want to put the question up there of you know, why Swarm is needed or potentially is needed in the first place when we've already had multiple attempts at decentralized storage, whether that's been MaidSafe or Saya storage. IPFS is very much out there and very active. So a little bit like, why Swarm, what's different about it, or what from the other projects have not been sufficient enough to continue building atop them? So why another decentralized storage effectively? Anybody want to go for that?
I would like to go for that if there's no other opinion.
Victor, please.
Of course, in one answer, I cannot possibly do justice to all the sister projects and all the, if you want, rival projects. But I mean, we're all in the same boat really here. I cannot do justice to all of them. But let me focus on a few main differences in our strategy and in our architecture. So on the face of it, for the general user who wants to use decentralized storage, some of the higher level solutions might converge and conceal what's underneath there really. But let's focus a little bit, just a little bit more technical than we would want the general user to necessarily know of. In particular, focus on, for example, BitTorrent or IPFS in general. These applications belong to a family of applications which started from that is called like the file sharing paradigm. It means when you open up your hard disk, what you basically do is you register some content living on your hard disk, be it your pirated Star Wars episode or any kind of your own music or meditation videos, whatever, and you share it with the world. In a sense, the DHT, a distributed hash table, which is very similar to the concept of disk that we advertise today, is implemented by B. It's basically serving as creates a situation where this decentralized network of nodes can serve as a content distribution solution for this content that you open up, basically by registering and by routing certain requests and also in a clever way partitioning the usually larger data sets to smaller bits so you can parallelize the retrieval. As opposed to this paradigm, Swarm has has an interesting twist to it because it's opinionated about where stuff is stored. So when you open up your hard drive in Swarm, you basically take part in the global hard disk of the Swarm, and data is gonna come to your hard disk, which is basically depending on the address space and on your local node's address. Basically, think of it as if it was geographical addresses, and you store things which are addressed to the same address or close addresses that you are located at. However, this has profound consequences because this means that you can use Swarm without a hard drive, and not necessarily through a gateway, but through a light client, basically upload to Swarm. So Swarm can serve as genuine cloud service, as a network service, and that makes a huge difference. Another very important difference is that we're using the technique called forwarding academia and backwarding response, which means that if you know how Tor works, it's a little bit similar architecture. So basically, requests and messages pass from node to node, being forwarded till it gets to its destination. And this technique makes it allows at the core of the protocol, allows requesters to become ambiguous and ultimately allowing anonymous uploads and anonymous downloads. So basically it provides a right to a permissionless publication and anonymous browsing if you want. There's a few other differences which come from that, basically relating to how communication protocols can be layered on top of that. I don't want to go into the full story of this, but the main point is that only this year that we realized that communications protocols could be defined on top of these basic storage primitives, and result in a very powerful, incentivized, automatically asynchronous communication protocol, which has very, very strong privacy propositions, which is more timely than ever in kind of recent emergence of distrust in some of the real-time communication platforms. So it's basically, there's a lot, basically censorship resistance, so privacy through cloud storage, performance, and thirdly, of course, through the incentives, it's like strong guarantees for storage, and of course the possibility of layering a complete communication solution on top of the basic storage. That's only possible in this form, in the Swarm architecture, and not in any other that I know of.
Great. Thank you for that very comprehensive answer, Victor. I want to kind of put out to this question in a slightly different form to the other panelists building on top of this, and kind of transition into kind of a larger problem that all blockchain projects are facing. Certainly storage growth in a couple of facets is one area, and that's why decentralized storage can be important. But I'm curious to hear from ETC Labs or RSK or anybody really, if they've tried to build on top of these other storage or archival platforms, and if there's been success or failure in that sense, or is that kind of led you to this point, or have you been kind of waiting for this a bit as we've kind of worked through our scaling issues over the past few years?
Yeah, do you want me, Terry, to start? So in our case, we really promote interoperability through the ecosystem as a whole. We believe that interoperability builds anti-fragility. And given that we are trying to change so fundamental rules of the legacy internet that we used to have before, we need to make sure that we are successful as an ecosystem, as a whole. So we are actually, as part of Reef Storage, also integrating other platforms such as IPFS. We will let our users decide which platform they want to use. But especially for the financial inclusion use cases that I was mentioning before, where and bank people will be recording their identity and reputation, we need to make sure that we give them the most powerful anti-censorship or censorship-resistant tools that we have, and we fully agree with Victor's vision that the way that the topology of Swarm is built is probably going to be the most secure solution for decentralized storage in the future. But still, we're going to integrate with other platforms and let the users or data developers using the REEF framework choose the one they desire.
So does it sound like this possibility of leveraging multiple storage solutions in the future then? Perhaps Swarm will live alongside IPFS and other things depending on use case?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, please.
So we have been talking to Juan, who is the visionary behind IPFS, that actually there's a lot of room for cooperation in the future, because our projects are in a way quite complementary, because IPFS concerns itself primarily with locating the content wherever it is stored and efficiently delivering it to wherever it is requested. That's what IPFS does. It's very modular, so as long as the storage as the stored data has a unique hash, the hashing algorithm is pluggable in IPFS. You can add it. It can be found under an IPFS namespace, and IPFS has a very, very strong peer-to-peer networking protocol, which actually Ethereum as a whole is going to adopt. So that's the Elite P2P library, which is going to be adopted throughout the Ethereum project and many of its sub-projects, including, of course, Swarm. So we see a future where IPFS and Swarm both coexist and cooperate, and the Swarm content will be available through IPFS namespace. And the advantage of that is that it will have the strong censorship resistance capabilities of Swarm. It will have the safety that Swarm provides to storers of information. It will take advantage of the efficient storage space allocation mechanisms behind Swarm, but it will also have the quite sophisticated namespacing and directory capabilities of IPFS. So that's the vision of future cooperation. Of course, both projects were careful and hedging their bets, so none of us wanted to critically depend on the other, because in the early years of development of both projects, there was a non-negligible risk of failure, and it would not have been prudent to not replicate at least some of the other projects' functionality just in case. But I think that if both of our projects succeed, then they will work very well together. I think there's a lot of room for fruitful cooperation and using both projects together.
Wonderful, thank you, Gerring. And what about you, Terry, ETC Labs? I know I've had some discussions with a variety of folks from the Ethereum Classic side, the developers working on that side of things. Kind of how are you looking at Swarm, either similar or different to some of the other things mentioned here?
Yeah, in a similar way, I think, look, the technology, blockchain technology overall is relatively new. And the problem of storage is universal and large. So, you're only going to solve it through cooperation. And so I think for us, Swarm is really important, but other projects, are important too. Our relationship with Swarm is much further along than other storage solutions. But I think actually the ecosystem needs multiple people working on this problem from different angles. Not competing necessarily, but like I said, it's large enough that it needs more intellectual focus. I think for Swarm in particular, two things appeal to us. One is, the project has deep community support within the Ethereum world. And for something to really be adopted, it needs that kind of community support. So to us, that was a real important value. The other is the multi-chain support that they're committing to from the outset. So it's not trial to begin with and then trying to collaborate afterwards. It's interoperable from the beginning, which I think is an important distinction.
Nice, nice. Well, I have had some more questions, but I'm being messaged that we're running out of time. So in the spirit of cooperation, I want to go ahead and cede another minute or two if we have it, and thank everybody for participating on the panel. Gabriel, Terry, Joseph, Victor, Danny, Gregor, I wish we had more time to chat. I'm really interested in Swarm as a re-entry point for the average person to get into cryptocurrency again. Offering up storage and bandwidth since we can't really use CPU for mining cycles anymore. I really would have liked to have touched on that, but I know if we go for another round, we'll go over and we'll get yelled at anymore. So thank you again for everybody. And in the spirit of cooperation, Michelle, I think it's back over to you.
Taylor, thank you so much for rounding it up so nicely. I would never yell to you, just so you know. I would never do that. Thank you all. I also want to thank the entire panel. You're all a bunch of very inspirational people, and we are all looking forward to hearing more about you guys in maybe next events.